Oh, hello again everyone, welcome back. Thanks for visiting once again, and after a couple of weeks of no activity, I'm going to bring out another video, and today I'm going to do a quick kit review. Well, I say quick, it might not be so quick, we'll see what happens, eh? But before I do that, if I could just say to you all, thank you very much for coming along. If this is the first time you've come to visit with me, you're very welcome. Nice to see you. And if you wouldn't mind, do please consider subscribing to the channel. It's free to do, and doesn't, as I said, doesn't cost you anything, but it does help grow the channel, which is rather nice. And I'm not one of the largest channels on the interweb by any means, but hopefully you'll like what I do. If you're a returning visitor, well, thank you very much for coming back, and clearly my ramblings are of interest to you. And anyway, let's get on with it. What you can see here is well, actually the first model I made after some 40 odd years, I think, when I returned to modelling about 4 or so years ago, and it's the Tamiya, or Tamiya depending upon where you come from in the world, P51d Mustang, the famous North American aircraft. I don't normally make models of the same type again, but I'm going to make an exception in this case because this is the 132. I'm going to put this just to one side because we're going to refer to it at some stage in the near future, so I shall put that careful away on over there, because I have just recently acquired this, and there are the Misterons. The Misterons have returned, so there we go. This is the Airfix Vintage Classic. It's the 1/24th scale P51d. It's been out of stock for a little while, but when it came back into stock recently, I decided I would buy one and see how it got on. I did build one of the 1/24th scale super kits back in the day, which was the Hawker Harrier. I seem to recall it went reasonably well, but it was, as I say, 45 or so years ago, so it was quite a little time. Anyway, so I have undone the box lid to take that off. I mean, obviously, you know, there's the usual things with diagrams on the side and so on. There's actually nothing on the underside of the box. There's no printing at all. Goodbye, Misterons. There we go. And what you can also see is on this side there are the two options. There are 4th Fighter Group, 335th Fighter Squadron, and also the 352nd Fighter Group, 8th Air Force, and that's based in Royal Air Force Bodney, which was USAF, or Army Air Force, USAAF Air Station 141 in Norfolk. And the other one, obviously on this side, is from RAF Debden. I won't do either of those options myself, but I shall do something else of which more later. Now, some of you may have heard me remark about 1/24th scale aircraft before in the past, and as you know, I say that the larger the scale, the less places there are to hide, so we do have to have our wits about us. Now, this is quite an old model. It's been around for, the mould has been around for quite a long time, and with any luck it won't be it won't be awful, and maybe it will be quite good. We'll have to wait and see on that front, see how we get along. But I'm gonna have the thing undone more or less immediately, and we'll have the instructions and so on out as well. As you can see, it's a standard set of Airfix instructions. Some slight damage on the corner of that decal sheet, but aside from that, I can't see any great issues with that. There are no crease marks in it or anything like that, so that's good. We'll put them aside anyway for just a little while. Drop them over there, and we'll keep that to hand. Now, the first thing that struck me about this is that there's quite a lot. There's something in here that's there's a piece of flash in there. There's quite a lot of pieces that appear to have fallen from the sprue, and you can see some of them there. So I mean, the thing rattled when I brought the thing, brought it out. But what we'll do is I'll cut this bag off, and then we'll see where we go with it. And I'll do my usual thing of looking at the instruction leaflet just here, and then we'll pick some bits out as we as we go. But I'm not going to take really anything more out than that at this stage. Interestingly, the canopy and cockpit is in a thicker plastic bag. You can see that's quite a lot thicker. This is a thinner plastic bag, and some of the components, oh, it's even got a base. Oh, there you go. I've seen one of those for years. My word. It's got a it's even got a section where you can put batteries in. So big shout out to Seamus, Seamy BMW, Seamy BMW, SCAMY BMW. He makes a lot of aircraft and cars and, you know, lorries and things of this kind, particularly lorries, but he puts lighting into them, and I think he did a Mustang in 132 back along, which he put some lighting into. Well, he could put this on a base and have the propeller go round and do all sorts of things. So anyway, give him a visit, he's worthwhile having a look at. He does some really top quality work as well. So anyway, we'll have a look at that in a second. This has been fairly well packed, so hopefully it won't be too badly organised. So as I said, this is a fairly old model, and it's been updated, I think, about 20 odd years ago, but they've decided to bring the thing out again, and re-release it, as it were. So we'll take a look here. Usual stuff, some information about the Mustang in various languages. Excuse me, sorry about that. And something at the top here. I will put in the comments of this video a link to my Substack piece about the P51d. I hope that you'll enjoy reading that, and we'll take a look at this in terms of you know, detail and overall you know, look and feel of the kit components as we go. So we start off, as you can see, with the front part of the engine bay and so on, and we're asked to put in a component there from both halves. So we've got part 70 and part 102 and part number 1. So what we might do is just fetch out some of these bits and pieces. Oh, this gives us an idea actually of just precisely how big this 1/24th scale kit is. So we can, well, see, it's big enough you can just fit it in there. The moulding here is very similar in that sense to the moulding that you see with the Tamiya kit, in the sense that it butts up at the front here, but this will give you an idea of just exactly where we are size wise. So as you can see, it is indeed substantially larger. This is going to be really very big when built. So let's just flip this over. These rivets, I don't know whether they're oversized or not. It looks, there's a lot of flash on this as well, must be honest with you. There's a, yes, it's, the moulding is not what you would expect from a modern kit, but then again, this is a very old kit, so you know, that's almost to be expected in some sense. But anyway, let's put that away. We're probably not going to need that excuse me for coughing all the while. Again, same thing with that. These are the flaps, by the way, and the flaps are not deployable like the 135th Tamiya. The gap here is actually probably okay. In no, it's not. I don't think that's realistic in any meaningful sense there. This trailing edge here backs up much more, in a much better way to the flap than this is portraying, I think. That fuel cap, there's one on both sides, is a little crude, to be honest with you. Again, we've got a lot of flash. It's going to be a lot of part cleanup required on this, to be honest with you, if we're going to make a decent kit. This this panel detail looks okay. I mean, it's a bit devoid of any sort of additional detail that you might expect from a 1/24th scale kit, but there we are. Anyway, so we've got to find this front section here, and oh, right, okay, I'll put that over here, out the way for a minute. I'm going to run out of space fairly quickly here, I think. So what we'll do is, right, here we go. These are the parts we're looking for here. We'll be able to examine them. Oh, okay, so yes, so here we go. Let's have a quick look, see if we can find the part number of this one. Part 102. There we are. Right, so we're 102. Yeah, so the 102 is one section here. We want part number 70 as well. So what it appears to be asking us to do is actually to stick the two parts together. That seems a little odd to me, I must be honest with you. And we've got rubber tyres. That's a surprise, but there we are. I had anticipated that they wouldn't be rubber. Right, so okay, that's part number 70 there. So it's marked on the back here. You can see that. So what it's asking us to do is to put part number 1 in between part number 70 and 102. Some slight whitening of that section there, I think, would tend to indicate that it's been stressed at some point in its life. Right, I think finding parts is going to be really quite difficult. There are a lot of bits to this, and we're going to have to really be somewhat careful with how we do this. Okay, let's see if it's in amongst this lot somewhere. Nope. That's the seat. Right, okay. No, there's lots of bits dropped off, so let's see if we can find part number 1. And I don't think we're going to be in a lot of luck here, to be honest with you. Right, immediately. We might have to dwell a fairly significant pause while I find part number 1. Put that over there. Yes, this is going to be quite a tough build, I think. And certainly when you're trying to locate parts for the for various things. No, still can't find this. Still can't find that part. No, can't find that. I'm having some trouble there. You can see that kits that are more than 30 or 40 years old, we have some difficulties. Anyway, we have to find part number 1 there. I'm not going to give you dead air the whole time. And then you then get the choice of whether you wish to display the engine or not display the engine. We'll have a look at the engine in some detail and see what we can see on that one, but you have to make choices more or less immediately in relation to the exhaust stubs and how you fit this, and painting these things as well. So let's have a look at the engine components, which should be reasonably recognisable, and I did spot some of those. I'm going to put that down there. Hopefully that doesn't fall over. So we can see there's the supercharger. There's the final drive for the propellers there. Difficult to see exactly what that looks like. Big mould seams on that. Let's see if we can put some light on that. Yeah, there's some large mould seams on this. Around that area there. Just here, you can see that, I hope. That's going to require fairly significant amounts of work. Lots of errant flash here. So yeah, we've got one engine component here, which is the Merlin engine component there, and the other one is in the bag, so we'll have to whisk that out of the bag, will we not? So let's take a look. Yes, so right, okay. Let's have a quick look and see what we can find here. But, yeah, so the engine comes in two halves with some bits and bobs in the middle of them, as you can see. Let's just zero back out again for you. And yes, I'll go that way round like that. The sump underneath there. We find the sump. That's not it. That's this component here. That's the cylinder heads there. So the 8 cylinders either side. Is it 8? 2, 4, 6, 6. It's 6 cylinders either side. Yeah, that shows what I know, doesn't it? Haha. And so that's that sits onto the top of there. Then in that case, as you would see, and then we have the rear components. So as I say, the supercharger and various other bits and pieces. And then we move on to in step 3. Let's just flip that over like that and drop that down there for a second. We have step 3, where we're then introducing the exhaust stubs through the bulkheads for the front part of the engine cowlings and so on. As I said, the final drive there, and the propellers come in two halves, as you can see. I did take a quick look at those as I was moving through. They're obviously quite large and really pretty crude, quite honestly. I mean, as you can see, there are big sink marks here, very big sink marks. Yeah, you can see them very clearly there. They're pretty crudely moulded, to be honest with you. I would have to say. I mean, I can't say anything other than how it is. That's not really very good. But then I'm going to make allowances. It's an old kit. This is probably 30 or 40 years old, I suspect, and it was, back in the day, these things weren't particularly detailed. The moulding was not particularly good, and this is what we encountered and we tended to deal with back in the day. So final parts of the engine assembly here, including one of the air conduits, I think that is anyway, and then we're into the cockpit assembly here. Once again, there are a lot of opportunities for scratch building here. I think if you want to introduce some further detail, you've put the pilot in here. He's a fairly substantial fellow, the pilot. I will not be including the pilot in this, I will have to say. That's not going to happen. We looked at that seat just briefly. Let's see if we can fetch that out. That's not the seat. Oh, that might be that part number 1 actually. There you go. We found it in the end, so we persevered, and there it was. That's the seat back there. As you can see, there are marks on this, sink marks there, quite large sink marks actually as it goes. Let's find that seat. Oh, there it is. Look, it was just covered over by that. Again, large amounts of flash on this all over the place. There's an awful lot of clean up to do there. There are ejector pin marks here and here. Again, the corner mouldings here are pretty crude, pretty poorly finished, quite honestly, if I'm absolutely truthful with you. It sounds like it's bash Airfix day, but it's really not. I'm making an observation predicated on today's standards, shall we say. So this seat back should fit into these pinholes here. with another component in board of them. So you can see that little component there. This little sort of double H-shaped component fits in there. That'll be the seat height adjuster, I would guess. And then those fit in there like that, but those two pins don't want to fit in, so there's a fit issue there by the look of it. One will fit in, but then not the other, so there's an issue there to be spotted. The rudder bar is just there. This doesn't really give us much to look at or go on in that sense. There's going to be a necessity to add additional detail in there, and I think you probably can't see an awful lot that's tucked away down there, but having said that, it's 1/24th scale, so you probably can see a little bit more than you think. The next part is dropping the side component parts in, so the cockpit detail appears to be added in as one part there. We'll see if we can find that. That's part number 67. Yes, good luck to us all trying to find that then, eh? In fact, actually, whilst we're there, we'll just have a quick look at the control panel, instrument panel, sorry, there. You can see what they've done with this is introduced there's a transparent part that goes onto this. Let's have a quick look at the decals a minute. I put them away out of reach, which I need to go and fetch now, so give me a second. Right, there we go, got them. I'll get my seat back there. I'll just look and see if we can find some there are no cockpit that I can see, no cockpit decals for the instruments, the flying instruments, which that's disappointing, if I'm absolutely truthful with you. I'll just have a look and see what that is. That's just a placard, so these two things are placards here by the look of it, but there's no cockpit instrument detail at all. So this is very much a compromise in that sense. Let's just open this bag up and see if we can just have a quick look at the there we go. I'm doing that off camera, I know, but what we'll do is we'll go back to 0.5. Oh dear, oh no, that's not very good at all. This transparency is quite badly deformed. You can see through it okay, but you can see through the light that it's been deformed quite badly, and it may or may not show. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm not certain that the shape of this cockpit front panel here, this windshield, is correct. And let's see if we can just get right in on that. You can see that there is some instrument detail on that, which you might be able to pick out with some fine detail painting. So there are no decals, but this then sits through. Let's back that out again so that we can see this properly. This unit sits into the back of there, I presume. And then before you do that, you could paint this a matte black, paint this probably a semi-gloss black, and then one can introduce the detail. There's normally a yellow line which shows key instruments and delineates the boundary between the key instruments and the rest of the instruments, which is not so easy to see. But I mean, essentially the detail is fairly sparse, if I'm truthful with you. Right, so let's go back to this section, this part number 67 here, which we did not see. Let's have a quick look at that and see if I can find it. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Okay, so yeah, part number 67 there. So we can actually see that. I'm poking things all over the place here. Let me move Mr. On Light number 1 a minute, and then just so that I can get this under the camera for you. So that's this panel here, wherever it is. Let's see if we can bring that up there. So that's part number 67, which is giving some detail in terms of painting. And let's see if we can then put this under the camera. It's the wrong way up, so let's put that the right way up so that you can at least see it and orientate yourself to it. There is some detail. This will be the, let's get the poker out, that'll probably help, won't it? Wherever that's gone, there it is. This will be the cockpit, the canopy slider. It's the oxygen tube there. Some odd other bits and pieces. Looks like a sink mark or a ejector pin mark, but this moulding is not flat. It's sunk towards the centre of the open spaces there. Doesn't really show it very well. There's a lot of flash on that there. There'll be one for the other side, I don't doubt, as well. The radiator which they put in section 6 here, sits into the back of the component here. This is they're offering painting number 226. Don't know what that will be. Let's have a quick look, see through to the end. Doesn't say. Not really clear on what that is actually colour wise. But yeah, so you've got there's a transparency there with the gun sight, so I'm going to do this without gun sight for reasons that I'll elaborate in a short while, if I do this kit at all, to be honest with you. Then we're into the radio and other bits and pieces. Now, ordinarily speaking, in the full scale model, in the full scale kit, you have the radio and the battery, I believe it is, onto a framework here, but immediately beneath that was an additional fuel tank which you can remove and install a jump seat, so this radiator would not be visible, so there's going to need to be some sort of scratch built fuel tank arrangement. Well, they do put one in actually, as it seems. Oh yeah, here we go. This goes in here and then is just put into there. That it's not immediately clear, so there's the fuel tank there. And the seating for this framework arrangement here, and it sits in there. And then we're into essentially final assembly rather quickly. But it's what does it say? Position engine assembly into starboard side of fuselage. Do not cement. After completing the assembly of the parts into the fuselage interior, cement port and starboard fuselage halves together before cementing engine assembly into position. It's suggested that the engine cowling covers parts 223 and 224 are placed in their correct position, thus aligning the engine exhaust manifolds correctly. Going to be a bit tricksy, that, I'd say, wouldn't you? I'd say that's going to be quite tough. I mean, you get to stage 14 and you're then into a position where you're essentially putting everything together all in one go. Then having done that, your elevators and rudder goes on in stage 14. You've assembled that in stage 11. Then we're into the oleo legs and undercarriage. Rubber tyres, don't particularly like that idea of rubber tyres, if I'm absolutely honest with you. but there we have it. We just have to do with what we can. Again, lots of flash on these oleo legs. They're beginning to break off as well, to be honest with you, but I don't know whether they, maybe, yeah, you can see how flexible these are. You can, these will bend in seconds, I suspect, which is a shame really, but there it is. And then we're into the world of weapons and so on and so forth, and the options for whether you want to have the undercarriage doors open or closed. When the undercarriage, now how does this work? When the aircraft is ready to take off, the hydraulics are running on the undercarriage and these petals will open. When you release the pressure, having ended your flight and you're on the hard standing and the engine is stopped, you release the pressure on the hydraulics and these then return to a closed position. So this would be correct for the aircraft being at rest, as it were, but you may wish to have them open. I've modelled the undercarriage doors open on my other Mustang. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't do that now. Then we're looking at putting the rest of the weapons in. I probably won't do them. And the final assembly is the cowling parts here. Then the canopy. So the canopy comes in two sections, with a plastic section and a transparent section. As I say, I'm really not sure about the shape of 215, which is the windshield. Really don't know whether that's right or at all, but I'll probably just glue these over the top. I won't bother putting any of the weapons in, because what I'm going, well, beyond actually just dropping them in and painting the front end of them, because my intention, if I was to do this, would be to model the Duxford collection P51d, which is in the what is it? It's the RF dark green, RF ocean grey livery with 1944 day fighter finish. So that would be the colour scheme I would tend to suggest that I would use with this. I like that colour scheme. It looks quite nice, and there are some examples that you can see around. Probably, well, I'll need to use the cry cut to make the markings, the wing markings, but that's easy work. That one, it's not difficult at all. But looking at this kit and the way that it is, when they say vintage classic, I'll be honest with you. Oh, hang on, that's going all over the place. When they say vintage classic, they're not wrong. It is a very substantial kit. Make no mistake about it. The length of the fuselage here is significant, and it's reasonably well detailed in terms of when you take into account the age of the kit, but there's rather a lot to be desired. I don't think that I would suggest that this is if you're going to do a large scale kit, do a 132 scale Tamiya first and get used to where all the bits and pieces go. And I mean, this cost about 60 odd quid or something, 65 quid or so, something like that. Would I buy this having seen what this looks like now? I don't know. I probably wouldn't, actually, if I'm absolutely truthful with you. Oh dear, there's a bit of Corsair suspension there. I'll come back to that at some stage, but I probably wouldn't buy this. I may do it just for the challenge, and see what we can do, and possibly do some scratch building on it. But it is essentially not unexpected in terms of how old the kit is, in terms of the moulding. But I'm not that impressed with it. I remember the old Harrier being better than this, to be honest with you. I know it's not the same kit, of course, but I do remember it being a little better. But there we are. I thought I'd pick up one of these. I thought it seemed like a nice thing to do. We'll see where we go with it. It may or may not turn out well. I may or may not build it. We'll see. I'll keep you in the loop on it, to be honest with you. So around 35 minutes out. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to have a look at this. I was concentrating on actually looking at this rather a lot, so my presentation may not have been quite as interesting as perhaps it might normally have been, but I thank you for being this far, for staying this far, and hope that you enjoyed what you saw and you know, it was useful for you. I'm going to do quite a lot of more research in terms of what the surface detailing looks like and decide what to do with this, but there we are. You may now make your own choice about whether you want to buy a 1/24th scale Mustang from Airfix. I'm not going to make that choice for you. So there we go. Thanks very much indeed for your time today, and hope to see you on the next one, and look after yourselves in the meanwhile. If I don't speak to you before Christmas, have a very, very good and peaceful Christmas and a prosperous new year, every one of you. Thanks very much now. Bye for now.